Hello.
Hello, Kieran.
How are you, Janine?
You good?
I'm here with Janine, a friend of mine who I guess took me in a long time ago, which was a bit of an interesting story, but I'm not sure we're going to share that today. I've been, making a product from Manukani for a number of years now, and Janine was probably one of the first people, other than myself, who took it upon herself to try it. Basically, I guess a bit of a leap of faith, maybe, or divine inspiration.
I just love honey.
Janine's a beekeeper.
Yep.
And has her own bees, so I think she was kind of intrigued, maybe.
Yeah, wow. I just love bees and I love honey, and I'll consume any bee product. This just seemed to be another one that was pretty unique.
Yeah, I guess having a bee product that is topically used as a spray that contains royal jelly proteins. There's probably not too many products like that in the market. Have you come across anything?
Not that I've come across. No.
Yeah.
Not a single one. Yeah.
So, how would you say the product has affected your life?
Well, I'd say I use it if I've got like a busy day, for instance, and I want that clear energy to get through the day. So, for instance, if I'm teaching, something like that, I'll use it and it'll help me get through the day. So, and then I still have energy at the other end of the day. So it's highly energizing, I find, but not overstimulating because I always get a good sleep. Yeah.
It's kind of perplexing, isn't it? When you think, well, where's this energy coming from? And science suggests that it's actually the electromagnetic fields from within atoms. And it's like, well, what does that mean? What does that mean to you? Not a lot. It never used to mean anything to me until I kind of discovered what it looked like under a microscope and to see the kind of photons of light and the energy that it was producing. So the product is, it's incredibly complicated scientifically. Do you find its application or use difficult or complicated at all?
I don't find the application complicated at all. I just give myself a spray, and it doesn't seem to matter whether I do one spray or 30. It's all good. Yeah. Doesn't seem to be like highly dose dependent or anything like that. I found it really easy to use. And
obviously you don't need to understand the complexity of the atomic physics or the isotope physics to actually get benefit from the product.
True.
It's I guess a challenge, I guess, to try to teach people how it's working. So that's something that can, for me personally, trying to simplify the message to say, well, here's something that you can try to give you energy during your day, and it's kind of like food, but it's also like sunlight that you can put into your body to help your energy levels. Is that a message that you think people are going to receive well, or that's going to freak them out?
Food and sunlight, that's good. The way I think about it is you've got your electron transport chain. It's inside your Krebs cycle, inside the mitochondria, inside the cell. And it creates those ATP, those little energy units. And how I understand your product is that the electrons are highly charged. And they have a lot of voltage, 1200
electron volts in a nanosecond. Yep, well done.
And then they go into the cell, and then the electron goes through the electron transport chain, loses energy, and then the cell creates the ATP. So it means my body can create the energy that it needs to get everything done that it needs to get done. So I don't feel different, I don't feel affected. I just feel like I've got energy left over, because I think that thing, your product, is helping my body to do what it needs to do.
Yeah.
And then I've got extra energy left over for doing the other things I need to do. That's how I see it anyway.
Yeah. No, that is actually a very clear and, I guess, concise and a conceptual framework that most people will probably be able to connect to because of the ATP energy thing. Yeah, the body has a natural ability to know what to do.
Yep.
It doesn't really need intervention, right? If you think about how we've grown from a single cell into this human being, and you go, well, that's incredibly complicated.
Yeah.
And yet that is such a natural thing for the human being to have done. And it's like, well, how do you reconcile between the scientific investigation and the complexity that has come from delving deep into the science and how all this kind of biological system operates, compared to the simplicity of, well, the body inherently, you give it enough energy and it will do what it needs to do, and it gets it right every time. Exactly.
That's how I feel. Yeah,
I know,
simple.
Yeah. So the product, in a way, because it gives people energy, and it gives it an energy not from a lower energy state of food, but a higher energy state that as the energy comes down, it allows it to do more work and actually put it where it needs it. So it, I guess it's intuitively knowing where it needs to heal itself. And, it's a fascinating process to kind of go, has science got it right, or has science got it wrong?
Well, science traditionally had things wrong, and then they figure it out that they had it wrong, and then they think they have it right, but then they had it wrong.
And if you think about the paradoxes within biology, the fact that you've got reduction and you have oxidation, and the two things are operating at the same time. You have catabolism and anabolism. You've got breakdown and growth. So there's a time and place for everything, and the intuitive nature of your biological system actually knows what to do when. And I think we're only just starting to learn how that is produced within a human being, which is, I guess, understanding how light codes for time within the structure of atoms. But again, I don't really want to perplex people with an explanation that doesn't make sense to anybody. So how often do you use the product in your routines?
Well, I use it different amounts for different days or time periods. If I've got high demand, I'll be using it a lot. So say for instance, if I was to, because I like to take the motorhome at night, travel on the roads at night, because there's less traffic and there's the trucks and they know where to pass and it's just safer. But it does mean that I'm driving pretty much from about 10 o'clock in the morning, often through to about 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the morning.
Wow.
So I'll use the product intensively on those road journeys. And that's great. I just feel always clear energy. And good with my decision making, feel sharp. And then if I've got a pretty low key period where I'm just sort of doing regular things, I maybe wouldn't use it. Give things a little break.
You're intuitively using it, knowing what your demands are in your life.
So if I had like a big day, like yesterday, had a huge day. I was tutoring a subject from 8 o'clock in the morning through, it could have been till 9 o'clock at night. And I was having to hold space in a room with a variety of different participants, different
Levels of
abilities and
Yeah.
ways of communicating, people I didn't know in a new space.
Yeah.
So I had quite a lot of product, and I did an awesome class, and I integrated everything really well, and everyone was really clear about the subject.
Fantastic.
And yeah, I really felt like your product helped me to get through that day, and and then I had really good sleep, so I didn't feel stressed. And that's the thing. Often I'd go into a day like that, like prior to using your product.
Yeah.
I'd go into a day like that, and I'd get that sympathetic adrenaline kind of response.
Yeah.
And then sleep would be hard at night.
Yeah.
But I just felt I had such good deep sleep. So yeah, it's just very, very nice. Just brings everything back to normal.
So you feel it's quite clean.
Clean energy, absolutely. I almost can't feel it in my system, you know. I'm like, am I making this up? But there's just been too many times that I've got through really hard days and like had no hangover or after effects.
Yeah, I know. It's a little bit bizarre, but because it's working at a speed that the conscious mind can't perceive, it is difficult. People going, well, it doesn't do anything, and I go, well, you actually need to learn how to be intuitive and connected to deeper parts of yourself. And lots of people aren't, right? They're caught in the physical external and they can't perceive their being at different levels. And that's challenging to be able to go, well, you're not ready for it, you're not ready for it if you can't conceptualize the thinking and understanding. Then there's a barrier there as well. And I guess I've kind of created a few barriers for people to try the product or to understand the product because of the complexity. And I'm hopefully learning how to unlock some of the difficulties in the language and the science in order to provide a better context of how to reach people so that they can think about the product and use it when they want to. I tend not to tell people when and how to use it because I like the intuitive nature of that the product offers. And I guess that again is hopefully empowering for people to take responsibility for their health and well-being. And when you own that, you're empowered to be the best person you can be, rather than relying on alternative sources of perception. If you can perceive your inner being.
Yeah, it's interesting you said be the best person that you can be, because this is what I find is when I'm using the product, I've got so much energy that I'm not reliant on the people around me to like create the experience. And so if I've got like a difficult person that I'm interacting with, or an unconscious person, or whatever they are, I'm not affected, whereas like I would have been in the past. And if that's personal growth, but I also believe it's the energy in the product, it means that I'm not locked into a dynamic. There's more energy here, so I can give them some. It's not taxing me. Yeah,
I find that essence of neutrality, where you're kind of separated from that polarity of opposites and that kind of headbutting that often comes from trying to explain and holding a position, and then other people having an opposing position. You kind of come to
the drama triangle, isn't it? We're not in that.
No, not at all, right? So you position yourself, in a neutral state, and that conceptual negative energy or positive energy has very little effect on your own position of neutrality. So you're charged.
Makes sense.
You're not negative, you're not positive.
Neutral.
You're in a neutral state, and in that neutral state is actually where the single atom physics is positive energy coming through from. So yeah, so it's in a way it is about learning self-control from the point of the center of your being, from neutrality.
Yeah.
Which I wasn't taught how to do it intuitively. I've kind of oscillated from extremes.
Yeah, well, we weren't taught that by our parents, right?
No.
Because when I think of my parents,
Combative?
I'm not going to say anything on camera.
Yeah. Well, you know, if you're growing up in an environment as a child where there's a lot of trauma going on and there's a lot of arguments over whatever, then your energy is being pushed and pulled, and you're not in a stable state of neutrality. You're not in a protected environment. And I guess a lot of the information that we receive at the moment from mainstream media is very upsetting for a lot of people because of
very traumatic.
Yeah, it is. So when you learn to come back to your point of neutrality and you find your balance point, like that seesaw, the point in the middle doesn't change, but the oscillation at the two ends, the extremes are wild, right? Yeah. So it's all about finding neutrality to find peace, balance, and then the flow of energy that comes through from there. So thank you for your time, Janine.
Thank you, Karen.
And it's been a pleasure working with you over the last. How many years has it been?
I'm trying to work it out. Maybe.
It was 2019 when I got kicked out of home.
Oh, well, then that's it.
Yeah.
3 years.